والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهني وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. We're continuing with our class on Tazkiratul Hadramiyah and on necessary reminders for women. The book is الكتاب التزكية الحضرمية فيما يجب على النساء من أمور الدينية للحبيب محمد بن سالم الحفيظ, the father of Habib Abbas. Now, so the book is the Hadrami Reminder. In fact, it is called the Hadrami Reminder. Maybe we've called this class the Blessed Reminder, nursery reminders, right? And is on what is compulsory for every woman to know of the matters of her religion. Alhamdulillah. So we are at the section on the husband. We're still there. And we are taking the numbers right one by one. We're going through the different points of what makes a woman obedient, righteous towards her husband, and what makes her disobedient towards her husband. Tamam. Right. So okay. Uh uh we are at where are we at? We are at number, I think we are at number six. Are we at number six? Not to get to know, not to get to know, all it has to be known by the friends of her husband. We've spoken about that. Not to be chatty with the neighbors, spoken about that. Has to enter if she has to enter a neighbor's house, she needs to seek permission first, right? Seek permission first from the neighbor and her husband, right? Seek permission from her husband. Basically, her mingling. Right, is there all these points here? Her mingling with other people, she needs to have permission. Mashallah. She does. She actually needs the permission to mingle with other people. Similarly, for our children, our children need to have our permission, as parents, right? As to who they or to whom they mingle with, like who are their friends. They actually need to have permission, right, to make friends with so and so and so and so and so and so. Like, because as it's obvious, right? And also as mentioned in the hadith of Rasulullah, يعني المرء على دين خليله فلينظر أحدكم من يخالل. Right, a person is on the religion of his close companion, his Khalil. Right, and so look, every one of you whom you take as your close companion. Right, so and so knowing that the way of life, the mentality, the habits, right, the way of speech, right, everything about a human being, it depends on what? It depends on your friends. Right, friends have a greater impact, unfortunately or fortunately, right, then the parents and in the growing up, yes, but you do have a bigger in the years of of teenagehood and so on, right? Because it's really because of if the family love is unconditional, you love your children no matter who they are, no matter what they are, you love your children. But for friends, love has to be earned, right? People do whatever it takes to fit in. Right? They want to be loved. They want to be accepted by other people. So this is what drives human beings to doing things that is against their better judgment. Because they want to fit in. They just want to fit in. And with regards to the family, they know, my family's always there for me. My family's always with me. My family will never reject me. My family, my parents will always love me. The kind of thing, which is what makes human beings naturally take their family for granted. It's a natural thing. Right? Take the family for granted because they're always there. They're always there with you, right? They'll not leave you, right? But friends, they can leave you. They can walk away from you, right? So it makes people do like things that are sometimes really, really against their better judgment, just to earn the love of these people, their friends, right, who are around them, right? So it is a right of the parent, right, to actually say to the child or control the child, not control but in a sense guide the child in this way, right? Because a lot of these things about husband and wife, I actually go a lot into parenting as well, right? Because it's really because of someone being placed responsible over you, right? It's basically because of that. So there's a lot of parallels, right, between what a wife can do, regards to her husband, and what children can do with regards to their parents, right? Because we're looking at a type of dynamics or relationship, right, whereby one individual is placed responsible over the other by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tamam. So we won't call it a hierarchy, but there are positions. It's not called hierarchy, but it's called positions. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed on the shoulders of men, right? Of men, right? Of men. Allah has placed on the shoulders of men the responsibility over their family, right? So over their wives and their children. The responsibility of their family lies on their shoulders, and they will be questioned on the day of judgment, right, as to how they fulfill this responsibility. Understand? Right. So which is why it leads to like obedience towards them, right? Because they are responsible, they're held responsible, right, on a day of judgment. So therefore, the child is to be obedient to their parents because the parents are responsible over them in their growing up years. Um, and then for the wife to be obedient towards her husband because he is responsible over her. Right? And that's it, right? With the teaching of our children and the teaching and a husband teaching his wife, for example, if they still insist on disobedience, they carry their own sin. All right, because the person responsible has done their part in teaching, right, in teaching and instructing, even in instructing and teaching, right, they have done their part. And if the child, is insolent, the child wants to disobey, right, he's rude, he's stubborn, right, and they want to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they want to go against it, then they carry their own sin, and no one will carry the sins of anybody else, right? So the only sin you carry, right, on a day of judgment, if let's say your child goes wayward, like, well, na'udhu billah, may Allah protect our children, right, the only sin that the person might carry is a sin of neglect, right? A sin of neglect, right? And whatever comes upon that sin. Similarly with the husband and the wife, similarly with the father and the daughter. I know there's this very big misunderstanding, with regards to my father carries my sin, my husband carries my sin. No, 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 you carry your own sin. You carry your own sin. You can't place it on your husband, you can't place it on your father. And but what they do carry is the sin of neglect. If there was a neglect, right? If there was a neglect in the education of their family, right? They carry the sin of neglect, right? But everyone carries their own sin. Everybody carries their own sin, right, on a day of judgment. Right? So you can't say, oh, I'm doing this. And I've heard girls or children say before, I only put on the hijab because I don't want my father to go to the hellfire. I'm doing it only because of my father. When the father passed away, they stopped doing it. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Like, or then if father's not seeing them or they see them, then they won't do it. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. No, right? The moment your father has instructed you on covering your aura, if you refuse, then you carry your own sin. Full stop. There's nothing complicated about that. If your father has instructed you and said to you that the law of Islam is cover your aura, and a woman refuses or a girl refuses, okay, carry your own sin. The moment you have reached puberty, you carry your own sin. Full stop. Right. Same thing with a wife. If the husband says to her that what you're doing is not correct, what you're doing is against Islam, right? You are mingling, with other men, you're getting close to other men, you're going to work and you're being exposed to other men. Blah, blah, blah. If you're saying all of these things, and she says, no, I want to do it. No, I don't want to listen to you. I want to do it. Right? Then she carries her own sin. Full stop. She carries her own sin. Subhanallah. Right. And of course, in our Zaman, with all these rules in front of us, right? All these rules in front of us, a man can only say so much, or a parent can only say so much. We are in a zaman of people being so so hard-headed. I'll say it's so hard-headed right now in our zaman. Right, they just do what they want to do. Right, obedience is something يعني so somewhat outdated. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Right, in our zaman. Right, but subhanallah, سمعنا وأطعنا, we can obey. تمام. نعم. So, this is where you're seeing where all of these rulings are coming from. Right? They're coming from his right, right? To protect her, right, from bad influences, right? It comes from his right to do that, right? To protect her from bad influences. Right? So even to enter into the neighbor's house, right? Because the thing is, what is that when you enter people's houses and you hang out with them, what happens? You get close to them, right? That's what happens. You basically get close to people when you go to their houses, you have tea, you have coffee, you hang out with them, you're always with them. That's when you get close to people, which thereafter you begin to share stuff with them about your life. Might even share things about your marriage. It's not permissible to do that, but people do, right? And then you might even be influenced by their thinking, by their thoughts, and then from there, that affects your marriage and it affects the way you bring up your children. I know there was a talk that was done some time ago. I won't say by who, but there was a talk that was done. And in this talk, right, the presenter, right, the speaker was saying such terrible things about men. I was a woman and a feminist, and it's just people who stay away from their toxins, right? Stay away from their poisons. Right. So this woman, she was saying all kinds of stuff, about men and men and men and about husbands and about, every single filthy thing. She was just saying it. Like and I know of people who went for that talk, to listen, and they came to the talk, they were okay with their marriage, they were okay with their husbands, and they left their talk feeling so dissatisfied with their husbands, feeling so unhappy with their husbands. This is what talk can do. This is what talk can do. It can just convince you. This is what influence is. It can convince you that instead of being in a good state, it convinces you to be in a bad state. That you say, oh, you have a terrible life, you have a terrible this, you have a terrible that, and you're actually okay. You're actually okay. But people are saying to you, oh, you poor thing. You can't, you're not allowed to drive by yourself. Oh, you poor thing, you're so controlled. Oh, you poor thing, you're so this, you're so that. And you were actually I was okay before this, but now everyone's saying stuff about me, and I'm like feeling maybe something is wrong with my life. Subhanallah. Influence does it. How about Aisha that day she was sharing a story, about this guy. One of Habba Action stories, anyway, mashallah. Right. So Habba Action and Habba Maryam, their stories all come from Habib Bashur. Right? It's just from one source, Habib Bashur. Right. So anyway, she was saying the story about this guy who was saying that he was saying to his friends, and he was saying to his friends, in the environment of the Bia and in the community does not affect a person. Right? Every person will choose their own akhlaq. Every person will choose their own way of life. Every person has control over their own thoughts, right? So this person was saying that, he was saying to his friends, you know what, I don't believe in this, claim, right, that the environment affects the person. And he was saying that, and he kept saying to his friends, and he was saying, I don't believe that the environment affects the person at all. I don't believe it. I choose my life. I choose my thoughts. I make my decisions. I make my decisions every single day. He was saying that, and the friends are like, no, 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 no. You gotta watch out for your children. You gotta watch out, right? Who are they mixing with? Who are they? What's the influences and so on and so forth. And the man was like, nah, I don't believe that. Right? I don't buy that. So okay, the friends, the friends actually came together and they were gonna teach him a lesson. Right. So the friends came together and the friends were like, you know what, we're gonna teach him a lesson that the environment does affect a person. So they made a like, say in Malaysia pakat, they actually agreed to each other. Right. And then they said, you know what, tomorrow, all of us we're going to comment on our friend here, this friend who claims that the environment does not affect the person, right? We're gonna every single one of us, when we meet him, we just comment on how sickly he looks, okay? He's not sick, but just comment on how sickly he looks, okay? All of us. So they planned it out. Okay. So the next day, the guy goes out of his house. He's perfectly fine, he's healthy, there's nothing wrong with him, right? He's fine, he's going out. He missed the first friend. And the friend was like, hey, what's wrong with you? You look so pale. Are you okay? And he touches his forehead. Hey, you're so hot. You're burning hot. Do you want to go to the hospital? Are you okay? You look so weak. What happened? You'll find your day. And the guy was like, I'm okay. I'm not sick. I'm okay. And he said, no, 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 no. You look so unwell. You're so pale. Your eyes are yellow. And, he kept going on and on. And it's like, if you need any help, please call me. Please call me. If you need any help, I'll bring you to the hospital if you need it. And then the guy was like, what's going on? Right? And he's like, okay, halas, he goes on. He meets the next guy. And the next guy was like, are you okay? Are you having a fever? Let me touch you. Oh, you're burning hot. Oh, subhanallah. Hey, you look so thin right now. What has happened? Are you sick? Have you got yourself checked? And he goes on and on and on, the second guy. And this continues for every single friend. Subhanallah. Right, so this every because the friends will teach you a lesson in it. So he goes to the third guy, and the guy was like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like your eyes look so droopy, and you look have you not been sleeping? Have you just and he was like, you look so unwell, you're so sick. And then he goes and so now this guy from coming out of his house fully happy and healthy and nothing wrong with him, he begins to feel sick. MashaAllah. By the words of people. Like I was like, I'm kind of feeling, I'm feeling unwell. I have some fever going on. I don't really feel well right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm really falling sick. So he goes from friend to friend. He goes through like I think about a few friends, about five friends, and every single one of them was saying the same thing. Right. So he goes back to his house and he goes to bed and he wraps himself up and he's shivering, shivering. He has nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just in the head. So his son was like, "What's wrong with you?" And he's like, "I'm sick. I'm sick. You don't know anything. I'm very sick. I'm gonna die. I'm very sick. I have some terminal illness. I have some terrible disease. I have this. I have that. Gonna. And he was like, "I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I know. I'm so sick. I'm so you can't even detect that I'm sick. You don't know anything. Oh, you woman." Subhanallah. So um, so the wife was like, "No, you're fine. You look fine. You came out this morning. You woke up fine. Nothing wrong with you." And he said, "No, no, what do you know? Right, what do you know?" Subhanallah. Anyway, so it's just like she couldn't convince him. Because his friends all said something else, right? Then the friends came to the house and knocked the door, right? And they came in and they saw him like shivering in his bed, with his blanket, and he's like, I'm so sick, poor me, poor me. And then the friends were like, see, right? You claim that the society or the environment does not affect the person, right? You're actually fine. Like we just made it up. Right? We just want to show you a lesson or teach you a lesson that the environment does affect a person. So don't say it doesn't affect a person. It does affect a person. Like your mentalities, your thoughts, when you think that you're sick, right? Subhanallah, right, is by the people around you telling you you're sick. I know like in our zaman you'll say whenever you have any sickness, you go on Google and you search all the symptoms, you think you're dying because you're reading all kinds of nonsense on Google and you have no idea what are you're trying to self diagnose, and then you end up doing all kinds of nonsense. So anyway, this is where this conditions are coming from, right? Because of the danger of mentalities out there. Right. Mashallah, I had a student I think some years ago, right? I had a student some years ago, right, whereby some years ago whereby I she was going through some difficult time with her husband, and she was going through like she was considering filing for a divorce and stuff like that, right? And she went to a particular person, like who was speaking to her, and this person was really encouraging her on divorce. And it really depends who you speak to in regards to your problems. It really depends who you speak to, right? And subhanallah, she alhamdulillah she was coming to my classes, and then she spoke to me thereafter. She spoke to me thereafter about her problems and issues. And I said to her, okay, lay out your problems, the issues, with your husband, right? Discuss it. Okay, discuss it. Put it out, right? You have children, you have young children, right? Because divorce is difficult, right? It is a difficult and long process in Singapore, right? That's the first thing. And also that it has negative effects on small children, right? And there is something you cannot run away from, right? You cannot run away from that, right? It has an effect on small children. Nonetheless, you try your very best, but there will be an effect, on them. And inshallah, may Allah protect our children. So I still lay it out, right? Discuss with him, talk things out, right? See where you can give in, where he can give in, and work together, right? Put down your intentions, that you want to keep the marriage, but ask him to put down his intentions and work towards it, right? And then place it up, big for both of you to see in your bedroom, right? That you're gonna try it every day. Every day you're gonna try. Every day you're gonna put in effort. Every day you're gonna choose to want to be together. You're gonna choose this. And again, as I mentioned before, every individual has their own personal case. You can't give a one solution for all individuals and all marriages. No, you can't, right? But it is basically it's case by case, right? It's case by case basis. You can't just, give a blanket statement and say everybody apply this. It depends, yani, because it is as the it is as like it is as many solutions as there are personalities. You get it, right? Because every solution depends on the personalities of the husband and wife in the marriage, and how their personalities come together. Subhanallah. So, but anyway, mashallah, she took the advice and she went to work on it with her husband, and they're both sincere in doing it. They both want the marriage, right? They both actually want the marriage. This is the biggest thing, right? When a couple does not want the marriage anymore, right? Even the smallest problems in the marriage will cause for the marriage to break apart. And I've met people who are like that, right? That you try and help them to reconcile because you see the problems being so minor. The problems are literally so minor, but there is a big problem, which is they don't want it. They don't want the marriage, right? And if they don't want the marriage, it's not going to work because marriage requires effort. It requires a lot of effort, marriage. You need to want to be married to this individual. You need to want to keep the marriage. You need to want to, because it's a structure that can crumble so easily, right? The moment someone does not want it. Because literally you can find fault with everything. Like you can find fault with, a million things about other person. You can if you want to, right? And you can overlook all the faults if you want to. It's a choice, right? So which is why, whenever people come and they speak about their marriages, like you have to just identify, do they actually want to remain married? Right? Do they want to remain married with this individual? Or do they not want to? Right? And then they have to be clear in themselves. Do they want to or do they not want to? And if they don't want to, then it's just gonna be, it's just gonna be like torture for both of them to force themselves, and if you don't want to. But Allahu Alam, as I said, every case is unique. So anyway, it depends who talks to you. Okay, it depends who talks to you, and be very careful who talks to you, right? Because everybody carries their own in their own experiences, and everybody carries their own baggages. All right, so you speak to someone who went through a terrible marriage, a terrible divorce, right? She will have her own sentiments about marriage in itself, right, and about divorce in itself, right? If you go through it, if you speak to someone who has a beautiful marriage and really cannot even imagine being divorced, then they'll have their own ideologies, their own mentalities that is based on their own experience. Tamam. Right, so it is really even like I mean all of us, we're all human. So even for myself, I know when I speak, right, I speak really very much based on my own experience in life, like of what people I've seen of people around me. I've seen of my family, of my siblings, of myself, of my own marriages, of my own marriage, of my own marriage, like of my parents' marriage, and so on and so forth. Right. So whatever I produce is a result is necessarily, and I can't even break away from that, is necessarily a result of my experience in life, basically. And all of us were like that. We're all like that. Whatever we present to other people, whatever we say to other people, our advice to other people, right, necessarily, is influenced, right, by our own experience in life, obviously, right? Obviously. So which is why if you want advice, you try and go and ask advice from several individuals, because every individual gives what they have inside of them. Tamam. And at the best, go to an individual that can give the advice, try to keep it away from their own personal opinions, but keep it religious. So following the words of the Prophet ﷺ, and that is the purest form of advice. Now, okay, this one comment here. Did a workshop on puberty. Some girls from a particular madrasa said that they were taught in school that before Balil, their parents would bear their sins. No, no, that's not true. Right. I tried to correct that without putting the school in a bad light. I thought the one girl misunderstood what was said in the school, but no, the other schools in the madrasa agreed with her. No, 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 no. Before Balil, nobody holds anybody's sins. Right. You don't, your parents don't hold the sins of you. Can you imagine? I mean, literally, can you imagine before your child baligh, how many prayers of this accounted? If it's going to be on your shoulders, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. My child's play fooling around in the salat. How am I going to, how am I going to, make how am I gonna carry their sins? You just look at your children lah, your kids. It doesn't make sense. Even when you go by logic, it doesn't make sense that I'm gonna carry whatever my child did. My child lies, my child, he does stuff, she does stuff, they pray super fast, they pray in 2 seconds, right? Their wudu is like we have Allahu Alam, what is their wudu? It can't be that the parents gonna carry all that. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave human beings till puberty to get things right, which means things will be wrong before puberty, obviously, right? So you're given up to puberty to get your act together and to learn your wajib to puberty. And from puberty is counted. And thereafter is tawbah anyway. And as tawbah, you can always, every time you mess up, you can always, repent and come back and try again, right? But doesn't make sense at all that your parents carry your sin before puberty. I mean, subhanAllah, I would like in that case, like no one wants to have children then. And they carry out the kiss of all the sins of all these people. Wala hawla wala quwwata. If you had 10 children, right, you want to carry the sins of 10 children. You know, have like a whole load of sins on your back. Subhanallah. So anyway, um like I'm sure every parent here is like, I am not carrying your sin. You all play so fast. I tell you also many times already. Don't play that fast. And they still do it. They're children. They're children. That is why the pen is lifted off of them. They're children. Right? Allah is fair. Allah is just. Allah's not gonna take them to account. Right? They're not adult. They're children. Subhanallah. So Allah, it's such a strange concept that someone actually believes that. Because by logic you can debunk it. Even by just by logic, you can debunk it. But anyway, there's no nas. There's no nas. There's no hadith, no Quran that speaks about this, that the parents carry the sin, of their children who are not baligh. Right? However, who's that? Dul. Ayun na, sana. Insurance company. Okay. My cat meowing outside. Lain. Okay, get down. Okay, so so it's a question here. If we already set on divorce and whatever she gives on working out, this comes off as spreading her feelings and experiences, then this is basically what I was saying. They don't want it. If they're set on divorce, they don't actually want to make the marriage work. All of us who are married here, and all of you who are married here, does marriage require work every single day? Does it require work? It does, right? I think everyone here who's married, every single day you're going to choose to be married, right? You're going to choose. You're going to choose. Wake up in the morning and I'm going to choose to make this marriage work, right? Every single day. Because every single day requires giving in. Every single day requires understanding. Every single day requires husnul zan and good opinion. Every single day requires tolerance. Every single day requires all of these things because you're two human beings who are coming together to live together and bring up a family. So necessarily, right, there's a lot of giving, right, in a marriage on both sides, husband and wife, a lot of giving, right? So you need to want it. If someone does not want it, it will not work. Even for the tiniest problems in their marriage, will make it crumble because they don't want it. They don't want it. Right? So I know everyone here, we know to stay married, it requires work. It requires a decision every single day. I want to make this work. Every single day, you're going to decide that. And you're going to work towards it, and you don't want the marriage to collapse. So the moment someone is intent on divorce, they are convinced on divorce, right? They set on divorce, right? Advice will not work except if you're gonna try and if you're trying to change your mind about it. I accept if you're gonna try and attempt to change their mind about it and change their view about it. All right, about divorce. Right, there was once a Sahaba, actually sorry, also she was mentioning this very once about this woman who went to the Sheikh, and she was like, I have a terrible marriage, a terrible husband, I have a terrible this and terrible that, and da, 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 and she's complaining the entire time about her husband. And then she said to her, okay, you know what? And she said, she's the Qadi, Qadi, the judge. And she's like, give me a divorce from your husband. He will not give me a divorce. So the Qadi can actually do it, right? They can actually give the divorce. And they said, she said, give me a divorce from your husband. Give it to me. I hate him. I cannot stand him. in Gaza. And the Qadi said, okay, before I give you a divorce from your husband, okay, I want you to do one thing. Go to every single house, right, in on this street, there are 10 houses here on the street. I go to every single one and ask and knock the door on every one of these houses and ask the women in these houses about their marriages. Just ask them. So the woman said, okay, fine, I'll do that. If there's a condition, I'll do that. So she goes to the first house, she knocks the door, right? The woman opens up and she was like, and she said, tell me honestly about your marriage. Honestly, tell me. And the woman begins talking and talking, talking about her husband. La hawla wala. This is so haram, ini. She's doing so much backbiting. But anyway, this is a story, ini. So the woman began talking and talking and talking and complaining and complaining and complaining. So you're just gonna assume that they all don't know each other, okay? So there's no backbiting going on. They just don't know each other. Right? So she complained, and the woman was like, oh, she said it worse than me. No, my problems are nothing. She goes to the next house and she says does the same thing. She's like, tell me about your marriage. And the second woman was like, "Oh, you don't know." And she went talking and talking and talking, and the woman was like, "Oh, okay, my husband's not like that, at least, subhanAllah." And she does this for 10 houses. And by the end of the 10th house, at the 10th house, I just like, I have a king, I have an angel in my house. I married an angel. Story goes in that way. She goes to the Qadi, and the Qadi's like, "Okay, are you ready to be divorced?" And she's like, "No, no, 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 I don't want to be divorced. I love my husband. He's perfect. I've heard everybody else's stories. He's not like them." Subhanallah. So anyway, mashallah. Right. Anyway, if someone is set on divorce, right, giving advice on trying to solve the problems in the marriage, that's not the first step. You're trying to address a symptom of a deeper problem, right? There's a deeper problem. You're trying to address the symptom. Okay, that's not how you try and cure things. You don't cure things by trying to remove the symptoms. Unfortunately, in our zaman, that's what we do with our with our illnesses. We try and remove symptoms, but there's a deeper problem inside of us, right? It's that if you have like acne or you have like skin problems, they keep putting any creams on the skin problems. No, the skin is an organ that excretes toxins. Right? If you have problems with your skin, you have toxins in your body. Your body is unable to handle the toxins in your body. There is a bigger problem with your liver, there's a bigger problem with your blood, and so on and so forth. Right? And so the skin is just excreting what the skin is experiencing, from inside the body. Anyway, so I was someone with people who just address symptoms, we don't address the deeper problem. What is the imbalance that's going on? So if someone comes to you and she's like, "Oh, my husband did this and my husband did that and my husband did this," and you're seeing symptoms that she's just being very, very disgruntled, she's very dissatisfied, there's something deeper going on, right? With this person. So if you address the symptoms just on the outward, it's never ending. And I think many people who have ever spoken to people who want divorces, you will find it's never ending. The complaints are never ending, right? And if you reflect on yourself, you're like, I could do the same complaints about my husband, but I'm not, right? Because why? Because you want the marriage with him, correct? I mean, if I want to complain about my husband, any woman, if you want to complain about how our husbands, or if they complain about us as their wives, they will have a never-ending list if they want to. If they want to, they can have a never-ending list of complaints. And I know about myself. I mean, I have a whole lot of flaws going on in me. Um, so that's not what you're trying to do. You're gonna go to the source of it and see, why don't you want this marriage? Right? Why don't you want the marriage? Why do you want to get out of the marriage? What is the bigger problem? Right? What is the bigger issue? Right? Is there a form of abuse? Is there a form of belittlement? Is there a form of, emotional neglect? Right? These are all issues that women actually go through that actually lead to a lot of complaints thereafter in their marriages. There's something else going on. Right? So are you emotionally neglected by your husband? Is he not, connecting with you? Right? Are you all just living separate lives? Are you all just, in a sense, there's a lot of deeper issues going on. And I sound like a counselor. I'm not a counselor, right? But just religion, just of that time. Okay. Um. Okay. So question here has I think your husband to go for further in class together is that he doesn't allow me to attend and ask me your basic already, so you sometimes miss the sunnah. All you don't Go for the iron class. Don't answer the question. Can you re can you rephrase? Asking your husband to go for class for iron together. He doesn't allow me to attend and ask me, you're basic already, you sometimes miss. The sunnah you don't memorize, you go for class. I think what he's saying is that you're not applying your knowledge. I think he's saying that. And I would say don't walk away from him. Right? Don't walk away from him. He's probably what he's saying is that you're not applying your knowledge. Right? Apply your knowledge. He's advising you. He's advising you. Okay? This is advising you that you're not applying your knowledge. Right? Apply your knowledge. Right? Show him that you apply your knowledge. And then since you apply your knowledge, then he'll be okay, go for more classes. Really. Right? Basically, when it comes to classes, right? Rule, when it comes to classes, fardu ain is wajib, right, to attend fardu ain classes, right? So if your husband stops you from classes that are extra, he has that right. Okay? He has that right to stop you from extra classes. Tamam. Right? Staying in a marriage for sake of the family, yes. Yes, that is actually one of the goals in the marriage, right? Because so now you want why so why do you want the marriage? You want the marriage because you want your children to have a stable upbringing. That is a goal. That is actually a motivation as a goal, right? And I would say it is noble. I would say it is noble because it's sacrifice on your end that you can't get along with this human being, this man, but you're doing this because of your children. Tamam? You get it, right? Or or family because you don't want to break up the family. Right? Maybe his family is good to her and so on and so forth. And these are all forms of motivation. Right? I know of people who are very old and they just held on to their marriages because of the children. Right? But even in their old age, now the grandchildren come about. And they don't want to have a separate, like, the grandfathers here, grandmothers there, and be separated in that way. They don't want that. So they just kind of like live together like roommates. They end up in that way, right? So if you're doing it for even for his mother, right? So that is what you would call a ghaya. You have a goal, you have a motivation, and that's okay. That's okay. Right? There is a motivation there, and that's what's that is the glue that's holding you. All right. But at the same time, you need to work against yourself, like, and not have yourself build up disgruntlement and unhappiness, and displeasure in your heart because that just kills yourself. Understand that? If so understand one thing, okay, or woman, if you choose to stay and you inshallah may you choose to stay. If you choose to stay, you know, this means that you're choosing to bear with whatever difficulty, whatever harm might come your way, because you're choosing to stay. Tamam. And in doing that, choose to not hold, right? This is the biggest problem with human beings, especially women. Things happen and they keep it in their hearts. Right? That just destroys you and nobody else. Understand that, right? Bad emotions are like poisons. If it's a small amount and then discarded, it will not harm you. But if it's a small amount and kept and kept and kept until it compiles, until it collects in you, right, it will destroy you. It will kill you thereafter. Okay, so this is a big issue with many people. They don't know how to let things slide. Right? They don't know how to let things slide. Tamam? Right? Nam. Right? But it is that you need to, if there are things happening that he's doing, you know what? By the end of the day, or I would say by the next salat, by the next prayer, let go. I let go. SubhanAllah, if it does not amount to abuse, and if it doesn't amount to abuse. If it's like things here and there, he said things here and there, by next salat, let it go. By next salat, let it go. SubhanAllah, it's for your own mental well-being, really. Um, right. If you want to do du'as about that, you can say أفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد أفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد أفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد. Right. Say it over and over again whenever this happens. It means I entrust my matter to Allah. Allah sees His servants. I entrust my matter to Allah. Allah sees His servants. Right. And this goes for every form of injustice done onto you by anyone, not just your husband, but anyone in your life, maybe your colleague, maybe your friend, maybe people in the society, right? Anybody, right? When they do things to you, they slander you, they have an opinion of you, they say they whatever, you just keep going on and say, "Ufawwidu amri ila Allah, inna Allah basirun bil ibad, ufawwidu amri ila Allah," and you just say, "Khalas, Allah handled it. Allah handled these people in what they are doing and what they are saying and what they are harming me about, right? I am not gonna address it. I'm gonna let Allah handle this." So you go forward to Amrullah in Allah Basir bil Ibad, especially if you can especially if you can Muhammad, I was gonna say especially if you can um keep quiet about it. Just keep quiet about it. Inshallah. See it over and over again. Tamam. Let's see. There's a lot of questions going on. There's someone here saying that on what are some grounds for a woman to seek for divorce if the husband does not change? It depends on what change you're looking for. Like what change are you looking for? If it's infidelity, then that's a different thing. If it's habits, it's a different thing. Right? Change in what? Right? Change in what? In being religious. And maybe he's an irreligious person, not praying, not fasting, not doing his duties as a Muslim, right? Or what change are you looking for? It depends on your change, on the change that you're looking for. Right. So let me just go in order, okay? So if the change you're looking for is him to be more religious. So maybe he's on the end of being very irreligious to the point he's neglecting his wajib, right? Neglecting his prayers, neglecting his wajib, the five-time prayers, just the very basics of it, or being irreligious in that he is committing sin, right? So it's, for example, on the very extreme, okay, someone who's drinking, comes from drunk, right? Someone who is promiscuous, right? Someone, or he has cheated, on the in the marriage or whatsoever. Okay, so these are all problems in this person, this individual. Right? First and foremost, his problem is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has no taqwa, and the taqwa is not there. Because the thing about okay, we mentioned about infidelity, right, is that the biggest thing is disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before betrayal to you. Understand that, eh? And for the biggest thing is his disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his sin against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, more than his betrayal towards you. Get it? I get it, eh? And because it's a growing problem in society, both sides of people being unfaithful towards their spouse, men being unfaithful towards women, and women being unfaithful towards their husbands. Both sides. It is growing on both sides because of do you know why? Because of free mixing, basically. Nothing further, eh? Because of free mixing between men and women, it leads to basically this kind of behavior, right, of getting involved with someone else. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. And also because of the promiscuity of our zaman, right, and many, many reasons, and also because of the busyness of people in their workplace, that they don't connect with their spouses anymore. And so people look outside to connect with somebody else. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. None of these are acceptable excuses. None of it, because it's all haram anyway. It's all haram. And from start to end, it's all haram. So this kind of things. If you're looking for that kind of changes, or you want him to start praying his five prayers, maybe he misses subuh every single day on a regular basis, right? And so basically sins, right? Sins that he's doing, clear sins that he's doing, right? There are two levels for this. Okay, and I give you the answer for Habib Mashur. Habib Mashur someone asked Habib Mashur this question. She said that to Habib Mashur, if my husband does not pray 5 times a day, and these are the biggest sins, right? The biggest sins. And not praying, and as it is for us to comprehend this, not praying 5 times a day is a worse sin than being unfaithful. Understand that, eh? Not praying 5 times a day is a bigger sin. It's a more severe sin than being unfaithful, right, to the wife. Right? Zina, or adultery is a major sin. Yes, it is. It's a major sin. But not praying is an even more major sin. Right? It is even a bigger sin, not praying. Okay, people don't realize the severity of not praying 5 times a day. The severity is above zina. right? In its severity. Like it's worse than zina. In that way. So anyway, someone asked Habib Mashu about this, and she asked about salat. Okay, she asked about prayer. The husband's not praying 5 times a day. So he said to her, well, you have a choice, right? He said to her, if you want to love him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and remain in his life to be the influence or the one that is close to him to make dua for him, to see him as another Muslim who needs help, right? If you're going to see it as your da'wah, your influence, you staying, you hanging around, right? You intending, even without words, if you think that words makes people fight all the time. Because you say something, you might just make him fight and get angry with you. But you just want to stay there, in the marriage out of love for him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So you love him, why? For Allah's sake. Right? So you're seeing another Muslim. Okay. You're not just seeing your husband, you're seeing another Muslim. And this Muslim is in trouble because he's not praying. Or this Muslim is in trouble because he's watching promiscuous videos. Or this Muslim is in trouble, right, because he keeps going after other women, not caring about Allah's rights over him. Right? And people say, subhanAllah, if he does not care about Allah's commandment over him or Allah's rights over him, I mean, subhanallah, like, subhanallah, there is a huge problem there, right? So if you want to hang around and help this Muslim in his religion to be a better Muslim for an eternal goal of forgiveness and salvation in the hereafter, then for you a great reward, right? Then for you a great reward if you can take it, right? If you can handle that, right? And see a soul that is in need, right? Then for you a great reward. And that will be at the highest level of love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that was his answer. That was his first answer. Then he said, and if you can't take it, if you can't bear it, then yes, right, there are options you can try. Right, there are options to try and get out of the marriage if you want to, right? But think about it when you leave, right? Of course, you're gonna leave him the way he is, and you can choose to not care. You can choose to not care. Like, okay, that's his problem, his akhirah, not my problem. But that's not the way of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? He never went around saying their problem, not my problem. Their akhirah, not my akhirah. And he never ever did that, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So of course you see it's a very high road to take. It's a very high road to take, which very few actually take. Very few. Because it is hard. Because it is hard. Okay? So if you can be otherworldly in your view, if you can be akhirah, you have a lens of the akhirah in front of you. If you can do that, right, your self, your nafs, your desires, your needs becomes irrelevant to you, and all you care about is to get people on the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a very high road of the prophets. And this is where the prophets are. Right? And of course you can choose to take the road or you can choose not to. And because of this, there are of women who have reached wilaya, they have reached being a saint, they are wali, right? They come, waliya, right? Because of this, that they take this high road. Right? And they struggle the way prophets struggle. And they take, the problems that come with it. Right? Because they care about other people worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They care about that. And so they give of themselves and their lives and their everything, right? For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of other people. MashaAllah is a very high rate. But you can if you want to. I mean, it's not that it's haram, but it's just that it will be an entire, it's a whole uphill task. Right, to try and get yourself divorced in that way. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. It's our zaman, it's our society, and it's like that. So anyway, let me continue with this. Tama, right? So to seek his pleasure, right? So to guard over her husband's rights when he is absent, as well as when he is present, right? So his rights of what? His rights of your companionship, right? His rights of your companionship, right? Okay, when he's absent, right? So his rights of his wealth being used properly. Right? He has a right that you use his wealth properly, right? That you don't abuse his wealth. The husband has full right on what he wants to use his wealth for. He has full rights. Some women think that the husband needs to consult her with regards to his wealth. He does not have to do that. It's his wealth, his wealth. The entire statement of my money, his money, my money is rubbish. Or fun. But honestly, rubbish. No such thing. There's no such thing. I know I have so many women say it. My money, his money, my money. Who said? When? When was this? Who? Where? Hadith, Quran, where? Right, my money, his money, my money. La hawla wala quwwata illa billah. All that's on him is to support you. Full stop. That's all. Right? I know of a person, her husband supports her very well, mashallah. He's very wealthy, he supports her very well. Right? And then he bought a condo. Okay. And being men, and some men are, right, they look to the future, right? And so he bought this condo in a very, very strategic position or place in Singapore. And then he bought a condo before it was built. Right. So you kind of like I think there's kind of schemes where you can buy them before they're built and you can pay for them. So you pay for them and everything. And so once the condo finished being built, so she was thinking they're gonna move into the condo and gonna live in a condo now. Oh, high life living, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. And she's like she was thinking, oh, we're gonna get out of our flat, we're gonna go into a condo, you're gonna be so, like a high living. But once the condo was done, he rented it out straight away. Right? He rented out the condo straight away, immediately. There was no moving in, right? Because that was his intention the entire while. He was not intending to live there ever. And in fact, he bought it before he even married her. So it's his own investment, you would say, own investment. Anyway, she was one of my students, and she was complaining to me, he just rented out the condo without even consulting me. So I said to her, "Do you pay anything for the condo? Do you put a dollar into the condo?" She said, "No, he bought it before he married me." I said, "It's his wealth. That is his wealth. He can literally do whatever he wants to do with his wealth. You can't say that he didn't consult you. It's not your wealth. It's not yours. He does not have to consult you. Know your rights." Because she got so angry that he rented out his own condo. It's his condo. And she was so angry. He didn't even consult me. Why must he? It's not yours, right? If let's say the roof over your head right now that you're living in, and he does things with it, and does not look after you and does not fulfill your rights as to maintaining you, yes, you have right to say something, right? Because he's not maintaining you, he's not fulfilling your rights. Yes, you can say something. But if let's say he chooses right now to downgrade, right? So you have a large flat. He doesn't want to support this every month. He has to pay for it every single month to pay for this large apartment, right? In Singapore, right? So he wants to go downgrade. He wants to go to a smaller apartment, and he sees a family can basically live there happily. And mashallah, look at the past. And if you know our parents, our grandparents, they would literally live in a two-room apartment and with 7 or 8 or 9 children. I know in my own family, 10 children in the family, 5 boys, 5 girls, and they literally live in a two-room apartment, right? That is how they live. It can be done. It can be done. Right? If someone is that poor, it can be done. Right. So anyway, if he decides to downgrade for the family, he does not actually have to consult anyone. He does not have to. If he does, it's good on his part that he wants to see people's opinion and he wants to consider your sentiments and your feelings about it. But if he's paying it and he's paying it, if you're paying it, then different story. But he's paying it, and he can choose what he wants to do. Right. So understand, right? What are your rights? What are his rights? His wealth is his wealth. There's no such thing as his wealth is your wealth. Search the whole of this deen. Look for the hadith. Is there any hadith or Quran that his wealth is your wealth? Look lah, look. Search the whole religion. You will not find. Even at the point of death, get it, eh? Even at the point of death, for a righteous wife who has been filial and loyal to her husband, if her husband passes away, right, at the point of death, she only gets a fraction, not all his wealth, a fraction. Right? If she has born children for him, then that fraction is smaller. If she has no kids with him, that fraction is twice, right? Is bigger. Okay, at the point of death. At the point of death. And that is death. And yet, in divorce right now, people are demanding more than half, or demanding so much of the wealth of their spouse, of their husband. I think there was a someone I think someone shared this joke, this joke whereby it was on WhatsApp lah. It's kind of jokes still just putting on WhatsApp. But there's a truth to it. So basically this joke goes that this guy goes to um and he goes to a toy shop. I know you've all seen the joke before. This guy goes to a toy shop and the guy goes, how did it go? The guy goes, he wants to buy the Barbie dolls. They don't buy Barbie dolls, they're all la hawla wala quwwata illa billah. But anyway, the story goes, the guy wants to buy a Barbie doll. Right, so he asked about the Barbie who is a teacher, I guess. I don't know. A teacher. And then the shop owner says, the price, about $20 or something like that. And then he asked for another Barbie doll who's an astronaut, I guess so. I'm really just making this up. I don't know what Barbie dolls are. But okay, so he wants to buy an astronaut Barbie doll. So the shopkeeper goes $20. And then he goes, he wants to buy the give me another occupation. Policeman, policewoman, Barbie doll. So I don't know if these things exist. Right. And then the shopkeeper goes $20. And then he gets another Barbie doll and he's like, this one, what is this? Oh, that's divorce Barbie. And how much is she? Oh, she's about 200. But 200? How is she 200 and the rest are $20? And she's 200. And the joke goes that, oh, because she gets, Ken's car and his house and his this and his that and whatever. And she, subhanAllah. It's a joke that I heard someone sent on one of my groups. So anyway, what it means is that, like, with the injustice of our zaman, the injustice of zaman, right, is that people are claiming wealth that is not theirs. Right, both sides, men and women. Right, people are claiming wealth that is not theirs. Right. Um. So understand your husband's rights. His wealth is his wealth. There's no such thing that his wealth is your wealth. No such thing, right? Even in divorce, right? In Singapore, there have been some rule going on in divorce whereby every single day you are married to an individual, for the woman, every single day of marriage, you can ask for between $3 to $10. I think so. Right, of every day of marriage to that individual. That is what he has to pay as a mut'a money. Right? That is not in our religion, by the way. That is not in our religion, but it's something that was just imposed, right, by the Sharia court in our country. Right? So even if, and the law is even if she was not faithful to him after a 10-year marriage, for example, and he's been supporting her for 10 years, right? Supporting her for 10 years. If she was not faithful and there was a divorce, right, she can claim for every single day an amount to be paid. Right? And if you count for 10 years, every single day, 365 days a year, over 10 years, that's about 3,650 days. If you put a $10 price tag to every single day, right, subhanAllah, they can come up to be 3,000, of mut'ah money. That is basically wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Right. So if the husband does not know how to manage his wealth, he is an adult. He is an adult. You need to understand he's an adult. He needs to figure himself out. If his management of the wealth affects the family, right? So if he's doing stuff that is going to bring the family into ruin, right? It's going to be detrimental on the family, right? Then of course there has to be intervention, right? Because now his decisions are bringing the family into bankruptcy, for example, or bringing the family into a terrible state of financial affairs. If he's being irresponsible, all right. But if he's just deciding to do stuff with his money, technically, it's his money, and he will answer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Okay, he will answer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. They're adults, so you can give your advice, but at the end of the day, it's his money. If he is supporting the family sufficiently, that is what is required of him. Tamam. that is required of him if he is supporting the family sufficiently. Understand? Tamam. But and then thereafter, what he wants to do, it's up to him. Right? And he answers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everyone answers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, so his rights would be his property, his home, his home, who comes into his home, right? This is right. Right? When he's absent, when he is present, his right is your physical presence, you being with him, right? When he is present. Tamam. Number 12, to seek his pleasure, right? To seek his pleasure. So basically, in making if the husband allows you to manage his money, good for you, good for you. I think it's the easiest thing. Right? If he puts all the money in your hands and tells you to manage his money, then amana, amana, right? So it is a trust on you to not misuse his money, right? But then khalas, it's his choice to do that, right, if he wants to, right? Um, Another question. If the husband keeps rejecting his wife at night, what can she do? Okay, this is now your right. Okay, it's your right for intimacy. Okay, so if he is refusing to be intimate with you, right, then he is transgressing on your own rights. So you need to find out why. Is he rejecting intimacy, right, with you? Why? And what's going on? Is it because he's exhausted from work? Is he tired from work? Then you need to work something out as a couple, right? When do you have your intimacy? You need to work something out. I find a day in the daytime, in the mornings, weekends, something. Do something about it, right? So you need to find out why is he rejecting you at night. Okay, there has to be a reason. Right? Why is he rejecting you at night? Right? I would say that, right, if he is rejecting you because of hatred towards you, for example, Allahu Alam, if he's angry with you, or maybe he's like, may Allah protect us, but maybe he's lost interest. Maybe he's lost interest. Right? You can gently remind him, right, that it is your right to have intimacy. Right? It's actually you have physical nafka, physical nafka is intimacy, is your right. To have intimacy, you can speak to him, right? You speak to him and just lay it out that you have needs as a woman. You have needs as a woman, and you need intimacy, right? With your husband. Now, right, stay-at-home moms have no income. How can we manage our finance and savings? Is it okay to ask for more money from our husbands for our leisure spendings? Okay. Okay. So tamam. Right. So the question here, right? If you are stay-at-home moms, you don't have to think about finance and savings. Get it? Because you're being supported. Okay? You're being supported. So you don't have to think about it. He's thinking about it. He has to think about it. All right? Now, now, all right. So he has to think about the family's finances and the family savings, not you, not you. It's not on your shoulder, right? You are someone being looked after. Get it, right? And it's not okay to ask for more money for leisure spendings. Not okay. Leisure spending is from the goodness of his heart if he gives it to you. Okay, your husband just needs to support you. That's all he does. That's all he has to do. Support you. So any leisure spending is not at all your right. There is no right for you to want to have leisure spending. You're like, then what am I going to do? You chose to get married, right? This is marriage lah. As I mentioned last lesson, we need to lay down for women what they're signing up for when they get married. Like when you get married, you are signing up for this. Right? So no one told you, eh? No one told you. So you can ask him to pay for your housework. You can in the Shafi Matab, you can. He said, pay for my housework. I am cleaning the toilet every single day. I am vacuuming. I am sweeping. You can't be asked to pay. You can be asked to pay to give milk to your child. You can be asked to pay. These are all things in the Shafi Matab. Your husband can pay you for it. Because it's your own service, yani. So it's not like, it's free doing all this stuff. Of course, you can, if you do it for free, get reward, and mashallah, do it for family. And I'm not saying that go around saying, for Savannah says to ask for money from our husbands. No, 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 no. But I'm just saying the law, you can technically, say to him, I do a lot of housework. Can you pay me? And he's like, I work so hard for the family, and you want me to pay you? Mashallah. I put a roof over your head, and I pay for your food, and I pay for your clothes, and I pay for everything you want. Mashallah. You end up arguing. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Now, so anyway, yeah, let's answer the question. Okay, question here, if he can't function and is only found out after marriage. Okay, in this situation, if the husband has, what do you call this? Erectile dysfunction. Tamam, erectile dysfunction. And maybe he never even realized it. Maybe he himself didn't realize it. Allahu Alam. Right? Go for treatment. Go for treatment. Okay, find out if there's treatment. And um if he really can't be treated on his erectile dysfunction, right, then you have to decide, okay, that because intimacy can come in many other ways and not intercourse, right? There are many other ways of intimacy without intercourse, right? So even, and I'm gonna be just explicit, I guess, but clear, even if he's playing with you with his hands, okay, there is a form of intimacy that he can give you. Okay, so he can give you into he can give you sexual pleasures with his hands, and that is a form of ibadah. That is ibadah, right? Because a spouse giving intimacy or sexual pleasure to another spouse, there is ibadah, is ibadah, okay, in Islam. Naam. Of course, if he can't function, there would also result in a problem in conception, right? So there will be a problem in trying to conceive. Tamam, unable to conceive, right? So then, right, you can seek, right, there to be solutions, right, of the zaman to see if there are ways in which you can overcome that. Okay. And then at the end of the day, if really after trying all of that, right, to accept the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah has placed on you, right? And look into other options like adoption and so on and so forth. Right? Life, there is no one template for life. I guess you all should know this by now, right? There's no one template for life, right? And people find their way through. I find happiness. Find contentment, find joy in your life. And wherever you are, whatever Allah has portioned for you in your life, make use of that to find closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the point. And the point in life is to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever Allah has apportioned for you, use it to get close to Him. Whatever it may be. Whatever, like come what may, right? Like come, just come, whatever it may be, come what may. Use that. Get close to Him. That is the most important thing in your life. If you can understand that, many of the problems in our life are not problems. The only problem in our life is that we don't connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the only problem we have. All our problems are actually results of that one problem, that we are not connected, we are not focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tamam? May Allah give us understanding. Um, so wife goes out to work and hands on responsibilities. Husband is the house husband. How the nafka for the wife? Basically, I would think so. The wife is the one who's working, and the husband is the one who is handling the household. I would think that this is an agreement between husband and wife. I would think so, right? It's an agreement. So the husband basically comes to an agreement that he looks after the children in the household while the wife goes out to work. And it could be because the wife actually has higher qualifications and earns more money. And that's fine. That's fine. Or woman, that's fine. You see, how is his nafka? If she has full rida that she supports the family, then khair, that is good, and there is reward for her. There's no sin on him if she does not claim it. You get it? Right? So if she allows for it, if she's okay with this arrangement, she's like, okay, I'm okay, I go work, you look after the children, you stay at home, right? And she's okay with the arrangement, there is no sin on the husband. There is no sin, right? And she gets full reward, right, for her struggles and her charity onto her family. It's all good. I know of many women who are like this. And the highest of them, in example is Sayyidah Khadija, right? I had a woman who complained to me that she gives so much to the family. She gives so much to the family that she wants to be pampered. Right? But her husband, he's not pampering her because he's struggling. And he's struggling in himself to try and make ends meet. Right? And she's like, my friends get pampered by their husbands and I don't get pampered. And I said to her, walk the way of Sayyidah Khadija. Why are you unhappy walking the way of Sayyidah Khadija? She literally gave everything of her wealth so her husband could do da'wah. She gave everything. I mean, subhanAllah, if Allah gave me a life where I walked the way of Sayyidah Khadija, I would, make sujud shukur every single night that it's, Allah made me, walk the way of Sayyidah Khadija. Why wouldn't you want that? SubhanAllah. Again, it goes back to the same thing. Are you focused on Allah? Same thing, right? Same problem. Are you focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yeah. Right. Another question here. Is it healthy for us who've been married for 9 years, not been side next to each other since we had children, and now in a small house we split rooms, so you see this to accompany one set of kids and you're another set of kids. I assume that must be together for very long. Is it healthy? As long as you're happy and as long as you have a friendship, you have you in the daytime you're close together, and it can work. Many people go through this. Many people go through this. Like husband always traveling, for example. Like if they don't actually sleep together. You know what, in Tarim, right? How about I should tell us one story. In Tarim, they used to be so poor. And they used to be so poor in Tarim that there could be a house with only 3 rooms, right? Only 3 rooms in the house. And there could be up to 10 families living together in that house. So the sleeping arrangements in the night is such that one room all women or all women and girls, the other room all men and boys, and the last room is for couples and they take turns sleeping in that room one after another. So if you have 10 and you have 10 couples, right, they literally come to the same room and sleep together like once every 10 days, for example. And this is something that happened in the Rim and it will happen for like long time. So basically if you have rida with it, you have rida with it. And mashallah, many marriages have friendship. And if you have friendship in a marriage, that's just the best thing I'll tell you. And something that I personally appreciate about my marriage. Like if you have friendship in the marriage, I don't know. For me, like intimacy is a secondary. Friendship is primary, mashallah. But Allah Alam, really, of course, intimacy is nice, and it is nice if intimacy is beautiful, right? But I find happiness in friendship so much more. Just being friends with him. I know I enjoy this friendship. But anyway, it's every individual. So if you and your husband you're fine with this arrangement, I mean, in a sense, you're not fighting, it's not causing discord, it's not causing, any form of unhappiness between you, and you're fine, and you're doing it for the children. Bismillah, right? Bismillah. Right? Find your time, when they are in school or something. Right? Find something some other time. And in a way. Tamam. Household is ibadah, yes. Household is ibadah. MashaAllah, do your intentions. Okay. Now you can find you can basically get your own solutions, right, on how in regards to intimacy and so on. There are many solutions in our zaman, okay, that you can find. Right. So as a wife, you had a traumatic pregnancy, do you have a right to tell your husband you don't want to have another child? You can discuss the matter with him. You can. Right. So if your pregnancy was traumatic and you don't want to have another child, you can discuss with him. He has a right to want more children. He does have that right to want more children. And if you don't want to have more children, he also has the right to find another wife who will want to have more children. Okay, it's hard truth, hard truth. Woman, right? But now a man has the right to want to have progeny. Okay, and if his wife does not want to bear anymore, the religion opens up that right to him to find someone who does, right? Who does want to bear for him more children. He has that right. Okay. right? And if you, let's say you are in trauma because to your pregnancy and you know your husband really wants to have more children, because of, progeny, then make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah cure you of your trauma. We dua for you also. We dua for you that Allah cures you of your trauma. It is not beyond Allah. I so focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is one woman here in Tarim from one of our sisters here in Tarim. She just gave birth yesterday morning, and her child passed away after birth. Right? It is traumatic. It's traumatic, right, to give birth, and within a few minutes your child passes away. Right? Very traumatic. It was the first child after many years of being married. It is traumatic, right? But may Allah cure the trauma. May Allah remove the trauma. Tamam. So many questions, mashallah. Okay, another question here. If the in-laws needs to stay with us due to health issues, I mean, they're old, they're sick now. We also have our own health issues, and the relationship with the in-laws makes you receive anxiety. Right? Just let them be and make husband happy. Or can I let him know that I am uncomfortable? Okay, your husband has first priority and duty towards his parents. Okay, here in-laws, I don't know if you mean in-laws parents or in-laws siblings. I don't know. Right? If it's in-laws parents, right, parents-in-laws, then he has a duty to look after his parents. And basically, if you are getting anxiety from your mother-in-law living with you, you can find some solution with your husband, in how you can live in this way, right? And set boundaries and set, situations for yourself to be able to live and continuously every single day make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, about your anxiety issue. Because these are things that are inward of a human being and Allah can cure them. Okay, Allah cures physical illnesses, Allah cures emotional illnesses, right? So Allah cures everything. So never lose sight that it's something curable. Right? Everything is curable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tamam. Okay, question number one. Uh, okay, if you want to try IVF to have more kids, if you ever read my post about my sentiments on IVF, um, and he says that let it happen naturally. How do you define this? How do you understand this? You mean, um, I I personally agree with him. But basically, as Muslims, right? As Muslims, you know that your risk is written. Your risk is written. Your risk is written. What you're given is written. Okay, if it is written that a human soul will come out through your womb, it is written. It will happen, it will happen. Tamam. When it happens, if it's written, it will happen this year, it will happen this year. If it's written, it will happen next year, it will happen next year. Okay? Right? Understand as a qaida, as a principle in our religion, that al-asbab la yusabbib. Innama al-musabbib huwa yusabbib. Tamam. What that means is that the means does not cause, but the causer is the one who causes. Do you understand that? Right? The means does not cause. You can take all the means you want, it does not cause. But the one who causes, Allah, He is the one who causes. Do you get it? Do you get it? Okay. There is one end. So then if you want to say, then where do you classify effort? You classify effort under ibadah. Right? What is effort? It is nothing more than ibadah. That's all. What is effort? Nothing more than worship. Okay? That's all. Effort does not cost. It does not cost. Effort is nothing more than worship. When you put in effort, you are worshiping. That's all you're doing. Is your effort causing? Nope, not at all. Take all the efforts in eating healthy, in taking the sunnah foods, in doing the back seeds, and so on and so forth. You fall sick at cancer, right? You get rewarded for all that effort you put in. But the cancer is written. You get it's written. And if Allah writes that you get cured from the cancer, get cured. If Allah writes that you will not, that someone does not get cured from the cancer, you will not get cured. Right? You get it? The decree is decreed. The decree is set. Effort is a choice that you take to earn rewards on a day of judgment. That's all. or your effort does not cause anything, anything. Okay, just one end. With regards to fertility treatment, right, be very careful about, to what extent your aura is being uncovered. Okay, just be careful about it. Right, to what extent your aura is being uncovered and to whom. Because with regards to fertility treatments, because your womb is very near your privates, right? Um, Almost 100% it will be that your privates will be exposed, right, to not just one doctor, but several doctors, right? So it's an issue. Right? There are fatwas that are given on this matter. You can go and look at them up. Right? There are fatwas on this matter, right? And you can look at them up and you can go and find your own law around this, right? Or law about this, right? But understand that IVF does not cause pregnancy. Allah causes pregnancy. Understand that. That is our aqidah. That is our aqidah. Allah is the one that determines if you will get pregnant. Allah is the one who determines if the child will survive the 9 months of being pregnant. Allah is the one who determines, and He writes it on the fourth month, how long this child will live. Okay. You can do 100 or IVFs. If Allah has not decreed it will come through that way, it will never come through that way. Ever. If Allah has decreed, it will come through the way of obedience to your husband and doing it naturally, it will come through that way. Okay? So we need to correct our aqidah in our belief in the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have full rida on it. Understand that? Tamam? Okay. Um, Okay, the question just now was about in-laws, was about a sibling, right, who can take care as well. Okay, if it's a sibling, you have a right to speak up. But speak up nicely, right? Speak up nicely with a sibling, and if they say there is a way for the sibling to be more independent, now, but if a sibling is needy, like an autistic sibling, someone of needs, right? Then if you are patient, then for you greater reward. Okay, greater reward. Now, so you earn more than your husband, so that you spend more on the expense of the family. Is that obligation? Is it your obligation or your husband's? Okay, so of course, whatever a woman spends on their family is never an obligation. Tamam, a woman, you are never obliged to spend on your family. So whatever you spend on your family is charity. Okay, it's charity on you. And Alhamdulillah, every day you do charity. Okay, nafka is wajib in the sense that Allah has placed it on the shoulders of the husband, but it is your right, so therefore you can, in a sense, forego your rights. Right? So it's wajib in the sense that he must support his family, right? Okay. If his family is being supported, does he have to support his family still? Right? If the wife says, you know what, I forego it, right? That's up to her, right? It's a right that she forgoes. I know of a woman that her husband, is unable to be intimate with her. He's unable, physically unable. She forgoes the right. She forgoes the right of intimacy. You can do that. You can always forgo your right. Allah gives you rights. Nafka is a right. You can forgo it. You can choose to forgo it. Okay? Now, so if you reach a point of paternal love towards your husband that affects your intimacy, is divorce permissible if the end goal is to have if the end goal is to have a family? What does it mean? If you reach a point of platonic love towards your husband that affects intimacy, meaning I'm assuming you can't be intimate because you don't have sexual attraction to him. So I'm assuming, and that you want to have a family, but you just can't get yourself to sleep with this individual. Is it your question? I think that's a question. Um, in that situation, so it was permissible because you want to have a family, but you can't get yourself to be intimate with this individual that you have actually married, right? Right now, I would say to you, there's something that is blocking um the sexual attraction. There's something that is blocking the sexual attraction. So what I'd say to you is you need to do more dua in the night, okay? Because and ask Allah to place in you, a desire for your husband. Ask Allah to place in you a desire for your husband. And intimacy can happen even without desire. It can, and it can happen without desire, right? So if you want to have a family, because you're already married to him, you see that you're already married to him, and you choose to be married to him, right? So I hope no one forced you to marry him, and but you married him on your own will, right? You marry him on your own will, but the love disappeared. This can actually happen, and I tell you very, 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 frankly, I know of several people, personal people, that they lost attraction towards their spouses, and it was a matter of sihr, right? That can possibly happen, a matter of sihr, that they began to be disgusted by their spouse, and it is black magic. Okay, sihr. There could be one reason, but it could also be tiredness. Could be you find a reason why you're no longer, attracted towards him when you chose to marry him. Now, okay, and then find a solution. Don't go for divorce straight away. Find a solution. Always look for solutions. Right? Look for solutions. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask Allah. Okay, for that. Right? And then discuss the matter with him. Right? Be open and discuss. Right. The wife wants more, but not the husband. Wants more children, eh? Right. The wife wants more children and not the husband. He's like, I'm enough, 2 kids, khalas. You're like, no, no, I want more kids. Right. Again, the fact of the matter is that the number of children who will come out from your womb is determined. It's fixed. Right? So you can't even, you can't even stop it. He can't stop it. He's like, I'm done with 2 kids. If Allah has written that one more kid is gonna come out of your womb, right, through his, through him, right, it will. The baby will come. The baby will come. You can't stop the baby from coming if Allah has written it. Right? So whatever you want or you don't want, Allah has wanted, and Allah's wants will come true. Okay. Now, you can just live your life, and then what will be, any. So the basis of their right to have more progeny. From what basis? It is the right of a man to want to have more progeny. It is his right. It's a God-given right. Allah gave that right. For a man to want to have more progeny. It is his right. It's part of the rights of a man, right? To want to have more progeny. If the wife wants to have more progeny, right? And again, as I said, Allah writes. Allah writes it, right? So a man could really want to have a lot of progeny, but if Allah makes him impotent, he's infertile. Khalas, stops there, right? Mashallah. So may Allah make us understand. Alhamdulillah. Finish the questions. Okay. Okay, the question just now was somebody said his parents are living with you and gives you anxiety. Okay, he has a duty towards his parents. He has a duty towards his parents. So for you, if you have anxiety being around his parents and there's no other solution, I meaning that they have to stay with you because he must look after them. And being around your mother-in-law gives you anxiety, then you need to do a lot of dua, a lot of dua. Ask Allah to remove, what is going on in your heart. Remove this. It is an illness. Anxiety is a emotional illness. You gotta seek cure from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Seek cure with Quran. Recite more Quran. I do a lot more zikr, pray in the night. I do more tahajjud. All of these things, and do all of these things with yaqeen. Okay? Yaqeen. Tamam. Right? Full certainty, Allah will cure you. Okay? Tamam. Alhamdulillah. Um, Last question here. Someone asked, when finding a husband, can we ask his principal understanding regarding Allah's decree on children so that we can be married to someone of the same view? Basically, someone's understanding with regards to Allah's decree on children is the same for every Muslim, in a sense that every Muslim should have the same belief on the decree. It's Rukun Iman. It's Rukun Iman. So it's not supposed to be a different view. It's supposed to be a different view on regards to Allah's decree. Allah's decree is one, right? Allah has decreed. He's written. Okay, so every Muslim needs to understand that, right? So of course, if people might say he has a weakness in his iman, if he does not really believe that, Allah is the one who gives, and there's a big problem because there's a problem in the iman of a person, and that affects the aqidah, and that affects a big major portion of himself being a Muslim. Yani, right? So basically his religion has to be sound, right? MashaAllah, I've seen some posts before of people who are any in the da'wah line, and they wrote about how, medical procedures, cause for someone to continue living, or cause for someone to not die. There is only one causer. We cannot see that as Muslims. You can't see that as Muslims. There's only one causer. Allah is the causer. You can't say that this procedure is the one that caused him to live more, to live longer. This procedure is one that caused him, right, to be cured. These are all asbab. They're all, part of worship. But they do not لا يسبب الأسباب لا يسبب المسبب هو المسبب المسبب هو يسبب يعني الأسباب لا يسبب المسبب هو يسبب تمام. Right, the means does not cause, the causer is the one who causes. That is our aqidah. We cannot run away from this. You can even disbelieve in it. It's haram to disbelieve in it. It's wajib that we believe in this. It's our aqidah, inshallah. So anyway, I think Habib has come online already. I think he's classed right now. Someone go to hear Habib. Right. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة أن الله رزقنا منافع وعملا خاص والهدى والسرور والسلام وإلى أرواح معالم مشايخنا وذوي الحقوق علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. And عفوا if I offended anybody in my answers. This class is is a very open and frank class, mashallah. Mashallah. May Allah give us understanding. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Jazakumullah khairan. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good.